everyone, it's Peter from Daydream Nation, and I've got Joe Beck back to the channel. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Yeah, life is good.
We are going to talk about the latest offering from Black Country Communion, and the album's called Five. So there it is. So this is the supergroup with lead vocalist Glenn Hughes, Joe Bonamassa, Jason Bonham, and Derek Sherinian. So we are going to talk tracks, what we think of the album, maybe just talk in general, Glenn Hughes, Joe, and the rest. So
Yeah.
why don't we throw it over to you, Joe, and tell us what is your first impression of this album?
Well, Stay Free was the first song that dropped, and I immediately thought of Getting Tighter by on Come Taste the Band. It was Glenn Hughes getting funky again, and I
Yep.
loved it. And then the rest of the album, I got this a day before it dropped, and it's from Joe Bonamassa's website. So if you go to Black Country Communion and you want to shop their merch, it goes to Joe Bonamassa's website. But I don't have a turntable set up, so I still had to wait till the next day to listen to it. But I got the vinyl the day before. But I think it's friggin' great. It gets better the more I listen to it. At first, I really love four. I think, and I thought I liked four better, but I think I like this better more. It's just a great band. The frustrating part for me, and we can get into this, is they can't tour because everybody's got their own side projects that they're making money with, apparently, that they can't tour. And that actually caused the band to break up for a few years. But I don't, I guess they just play one-offs and they play cruises and stuff. But that's unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my first impressions of the album was, wow, this is really mighty fine. There's got a lot of hooks. There's a lot of hooks in my head, melodies and guitar lines that have lingered with me. I think
Would
this
I
is
be so?
one of their strongest albums in a long time.
Yes. I would like to, tell me if I'm being too bold here, but it's almost, there's some songs, it's like a mixture of Coverdale, Hughes, Purple with Zeppelin, which would make sense because the lineage
Mm,
is there. But there's some Zeppelin-esque riffs.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. So, look, maybe we could just talk about the songs. So, I'll throw some songs and we can just do a bit more of a deeper dive and give the
yeah,
viewers a little bit more of a hook of what we're talking about. So, the first track on the album is Epic. And in fact, there's lots of epic songs. There's a lot of
yeah.
songs on this one that last longer than 6 minutes. And I have to say, he gets criticized a lot, but I don't mind the production of Kevin Shirley on this album. There's a lot
No,
beautiful separation of instruments. It's got that nice analog feel to it, and a lot of the songs are allowed to breathe, and hence it goes to what you were saying, Joe, where it took a couple of listens. They're a bit of a slow burn, but this first song, Enlighten, is a an epic song. But there's a guitar sound in it. There's a chiming guitar sound, and it reminds me of Hughes and Thrall. So I think even Glenn Hughes is not only bringing Purple, but he's bringing a lot of his solo career or that wonderful collaboration that he did with Pat Thrall. And there's this guitar chime or this guitar chord sound through the middle of the song that just reminds of a Hughes Thrall song. What did you think of Enlighten?
oh, it's great. It's a great opener. It's a great opener, and it just there's only one song I can't get into. Honestly, we'll get to it, but yeah, it's a perfect opener, and it just follows through with a great listen throughout, except for one song. You mentioned the separation of the instruments, and that happens all throughout the album. One song in particular, but no, actually two in particular. But yeah, that's a great thing that you brought up because you can hear it. I love the
Yeah,
production.
I love the
Another thing,
space between the notes, and Jason is playing and channeling that really fub thumping sound of his father. It's like his father's, you
yes,
know, sort of the spirit is in him. It look, this album is classic rock. You don't hear albums like this anymore, do you?
no, no, no. I don't know if it's too early to get. Let's get into the songs, and then I want to bring up Joe Bonamassa to you because I
Yep.
can't.
Stay Free.
Oh, I love it. It's
Trampled Underfoot.
yeah, or even get. I know he plays Getting Tighter a lot when he does the purple. I'm like, okay, this is awesome, and this dropped like a month or two before the album came out. Yeah, I absolutely love this song. This is where it really starts going in. I love Glenn Hughes being funky is awesome.
Trampled Underfoot. I think it's because of Derek with the clavinet, and it's that real funky bass and keyboard sound. And you were saying,
Yeah,
"Come Taste the Band." Absolutely.
it's the band. Yeah, I mean Glenn Hughes being funky is so cool. And someone posted a photo the other day of him at Cal Jam, and when I first saw him, he had that white pimp suit on. That was the epitome of cool. That was like the ultimate rock star look. So Glenn Hughes doing funk is all good with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another song I'd like to highlight is Restless. This is a kind of very bluesy, but again, 5 minutes and 43. And I think the average length of these songs are around the 5 minute mark. So, but it's bluesy, but it allows the song to breathe. And look, Glenn Hughes is 72. His vocals are probably not peak Glenn Hughes, but my God, comparative to folks of his age, he's still got it. He's still up there, isn't he?
Oh, for
And he
sure.
sings his ass off on this album and on this song.
Yeah.
Really bluesy, so much conviction.
Yeah. Yeah. This is probably my weakest track. I
All
find it to be
right.
I find it to be a little too self-indulgent, but you
Yeah.
know, it's
Well,
good.
this is a
But
slow burn, mate, because I played this song. I've listened to the album quite a few times, but I keep on coming back to this song and I've listened to it again. Maybe it might take a few listens for the penny to drop, but I appreciate it. It's a bit of a point of difference. But I think there's a lot of depth to this song. There's more, it reveals itself the more you listen to it. Um, Glenn, Glenn's vocals in general on this album are very growly. And he did an album in the 90s called Addiction, where he adjusted his vocal style and a lot of the musicology on that album, it was one of his solo albums, was very grungy. And I think he was falling with the times. So this album, he pulls out the soulful Glenn, the funky Glenn, but he also pulls out the grungy Glenn. And it reminds me of that solo album that he did, Addiction. And
yeah, I think there
yeah,
was a bit of that on the last album as well. In fact, there's one song on the last album that I think they no for no ripped off Rage Against the Machine. I'll get the track for you, but it sounds maybe it's in a different key, but it goes dun, 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 and it's the same beginning.
yeah,
But I get what you're saying. But I have nothing but respect for Glenn Hughes, the way what he went through, the way he cleaned himself up, the way he looks at this age, and he's performing greater than ever. He's in great shape. But yeah, this is a super group. They're amazing. Yeah,
yeah, super group. Another song I like, I wouldn't mind spotlighting, is called "You're Not Alone." Very purple. You can imagine Richie pulling out this
yeah.
riff. It's only got a couple of notes, 5 or 6 notes, but the song wraps around it,
So
and
this
it
is one of the
hits you between the eyes.
and this is one of the songs because each band member has a solo in the song, which is so cool. So it starts with Derek, and then it goes into Glenn's bass, and then it goes into Joe's guitar, and then it goes into Derek's keyboard.
Mm,
Somewhere in there. No, maybe Derek's keyboard is first. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's great. It's a great song. One of the songs. So Glenn wrote every song with Joe Bonamassa except for two, and they're actually my two favorite songs. It's "Stay Free" and I like "Letting Go." The beginning of that, you can hear him actually hitting the bass strings. And when that pulls me in, when you can hear like the strings on the guitar or the like like the little elements of an instrument, it just pulls me in. So I just love that tune too. But yeah, it's "You're Not Alone" is so cool, and Glenn vocally is very powerful on the song.
Yeah, he's really pulling it out. I think the musicianship on this album's great, but like, folks, if you like Zepp, Hughes for All, Glenn Hughes solo, Deep Purple, it really pushes the buttons of everything that you like. And
For sure.
unfortunately, it's not getting a lot of publicity, this album. It's very low wattage in respect of how
Exactly.
it's been marketed. And the the most recent sort of publicity that this album has got, and it's probably incidental, is Glenn talking about his beef with the Mark II folk in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I know why he went really hard in the media press, because I think he's trying to push and publicize this album. But it's, I don't know. I've got a recent conversation with Pete Jones on a separate show. Check that out, folks. And I think this may have backfired because, you know, where you're looking at all the media sites, it was all about Glenn Hughes. I will never talk to those folk ever again. But this album has had really hardly any coverage. It's, well, at least in these parts of the world. What about in America?
No, you don't hear about it. No, you bring up the Zepp thing, but what is it, Love and Faith, where it sounds like the beginning of yeah, with the keyboards, and then it goes into a Kashmir-esque.
Mm.
Yeah, but no, I agree that you don't hear anything about it, and that's the unfortunate thing. Now, as I said in the beginning of the episode, another one of the reasons is each member has their own thing going. So they put out these kick-ass albums, but there's no way they can tour. Glenn's got his Purple thing that goes on. Joe Bonamassa's on a huge blues tour all over the place. Jason Bonham's either playing with Sammy Hagar or doing his Zeppelin thing. So when can they get together to tour or even promote the album? And like I
What?
said, it was very, very interesting that all the merch and the record came through Joe Bonamassa's site. Like the email came from joe.bonamassa.com, not from Black Country Communion. And they broke up for what, like 5 years because Glenn said
Mm.
that Joe didn't want to put it all into this band, but now, no one has the time to do that. So I
Yeah,
think their
so
only
maybe
show
they're,
scheduled right now is like a Monsters of Rock cruise in 2025, which is a shame. Yeah,
yeah, that's sort of, you know, like those first couple of albums were starting to get a little bit of heat, and they were charting quite
yeah,
high for, I think in the UK, the first album or the debut went top 20. But
right.
the less they toured and the more they went their own separate ways, the record sales didn't follow. And I think in this day and age, you, you, this record will sink like a stone unless you get behind it and you tour it. So I can sort of understand why Glenn was trying to pump up the tires and get a bit of publicity with this beef with Mark II, which happened like so long ago. I'm never going to
I know.
talk to those guys. He was doing. I think he was that was his hook to try to push up some publicity for Black Communion, Country Communion 5,
Yeah,
because
I don't.
no tour, it's going to sink.
But like you got a guy, so you got a guy like Jason Bonham. This is such an afterthought for him. I'm seeing him in 2 days playing the Sammy Hagar tour. He's been rehearsing nonstop with them because he's part of Sammy's band. He's in the circle, and now he's doing this Van Halen tour that they're doing. And then after that, he was supposed to tour with Hart, but because of Ann Wilson's health, those dates dropped off. But he's still doing regular dates with his Led Zeppelin experience, which is awesome. But when's he going to be able to devote time to this? And then Joe, you know, does Joe Bonamassa get a lot of heat from people? I don't quite understand. There's two things. It seems like a lot of people don't like him for some reason, but he's a very like you have guys like Wolfgang Van Halen, Chris Shiflett from the Foo Fighters. They said he's like one of the most amazing guitarists out there. I don't. I think I heard like Wolfgang say he doesn't even hammer on. He like picks every note, and the only other guy that does that is maybe Neil Schon. So there's like a certain style of guitar he plays that just blows Wolfgang Van Halen away. So he's awesome. But I don't know. I feel like there's this animosity towards him out there, and I just can't. I don't know what it is.
Well, isn't that funny? Because we don't, in our circles, and let's face it, we're in the Contrarian and Tranquility circles. He doesn't get really spoken about, does he? We
No,
when they cite Guitar Heroes, and he never is in the discussion. Maybe because he's put in that blues category, which is not really our circle of influence or our circle per se. But I think his playing's fine and it fits in, and he does adapt his style into a more hard rock, dare I say, Jimmy Page type style
right? Yeah,
across this album. It's very colourful.
and
There's
he has a good
a
voice.
lot of texture.
So on the last album, he sang on a song, and then he does a back and forth on is it and Too Far Gone or yeah, Too Far Gone, I think it is. They do a back and forth, which that's
Mm,
another thing that puts me in. But he's got a great singing voice. I mean, he obviously is the driving force behind the band, but now he's, like you said, you go to his website and he's on his own tour. So,
mm.
you know, I,
Well,
I
he
don't
is very
see,
successful. He's
yeah,
extremely successful in the UK and
yeah,
Europe.
right.
And yeah, he doesn't need this. But I just think it's just really weird that you read the press, you read the story behind the making of this album, and everyone is grooving. They said this is the best experience they've had thus far recording this album. And then marketing is zero, nothing, no
I know.
tour, no marketing. It's like a letter drop, and that's it.
I know. I don't know how they would do a tour. I really want to go deeper into the finances of music because there's some bands out there that are doing really well, and then you hear like Jennifer Lopez having to cancel a tour because they're not selling tickets. But I thought there was a guarantee. I still got to. I want to get into the weeds on it. Gene Simmons is saying he's making more now. Now it's Gene Simmons, but he's making more now as a solo artist playing these South America shows than he was on the last leg of the end of the road tour because he has no overhead. So I don't know. So you have well, three of the four guys. I don't know. Derek's in a few other bands, but I don't know for sure. Three of the four guys are extremely busy with other projects, and they're obviously profitable. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, would you put this band on the same level as Dead Daisies? There'd be,
I,
if they were playing America, they'd be at the club.
oh,
Because I
I
did
think they're
a
both.
recent interview with Doug Aldridge, and he said, "Look, the state of America is we play clubs, but we are much bigger in Europe and the UK." Would you say BCC is probably on a even keel or at the same level as, say, a Dead Daisies?
Like musically or popularity wise.
Popularity.
Dead Daisies might have more of a name. Musically, there's no comparison. I think Black Country Communion blows them away. I mean,
Yeah.
musically, I think this is on the level of the second MSG album. I mean, the musicianship and
Oh,
the
look,
and the
I agree. Musically,
yeah.
it's a top
But
notch album.
yeah, as
But
far
I'm
as
talking about popularity wise,
popularity wise, I would have to say Dead Daisies is probably above them, right?
right?
Um, I mean, if they went on a tour, I don't know. So there's a venue about 40, 50 miles west of Chicago called the Arcadia Theater, and they get everybody there. I'll probably be seeing Stephen Piercy there next month. And there's another guy, but he's making more money because he doesn't want to deal with the other guys. So he's got no overhead. He's got his band and he tours.
Mm,
Anyway, you wonder if they actually had a Black Country Communion tour, would they have to open for somebody? Would they pay him enough money? Are they paying him enough money that Joe Bonamassa is going to give up his income from his solo project? Are they going to pay him enough money that Jason Bonham is going to give up his gig with Sammy Hagar? I don't think that's even feasible, honestly. I think that what's
mm.
happening is there's a combination of how much money they would make touring and how much money they're making doing their own individual gigs.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a head scratch. This is a mighty fine album. Are there any songs that you'd like to spotlight whilst we're
Yeah, for
together?
sure. Well, we mentioned Stay Free. Letting Go is great. You mentioned You're Not Alone. Uh, yeah, Skyway, Love and Faith. Love and Faith is just epic. It's totally Zeppelin, but it's like Zeppelin crossed with Deep Purple. Too Far Gone, there's the back and forth vocals with Glenn
Mm,
and Joe, which is very cool. And Open Road, I mean, it's Restless. I'll give it another listen because of you, my friend. But
yeah, I think so. It's a
yeah.
grower.
But
I
the other,
get a
I
sense
want
of
to. I so much like the powerful riffs that I have to skip the blues number.
yeah. Look, there's powerful riffs, and as I said, there's a lot of space on this album for a lot of color, a lot of drama, and I find the lyrics there's a lot of optimism in the lyrics, and the lyrics are like searching for you've got these guys that are at a certain point of their lives, and they're questioning who we are, where do we stand in the world? There's a lot of sort of deep questions in these albums. The lyrics are a lot deeper than your run of the mill four on the floor rock album. So
Well,
that's worth investigating and highlighting as well.
I honestly want to know, did they actually get together to record this album, or were they on different parts of the planet
I've seen the
throwing?
video. There's a video, and they all look in the same room.
All right, yeah,
But
because it says
again, it
recorded.
comes down to the question: why is the marketing zero? Why
Yeah, I
is there
know. It
just?
was recorded in L.A.
It's like somebody's put in your post box an album and they've dropped it, and there's no announcement. Oh, I've got this album. Great.
Yeah, I don't know. It's recorded in L.A., mixed in Australia, Sydney, mastered in Maine, Portland, Maine. I don't know. And they have this nice photo of the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it. Yeah, I think the answer is that they have well-paying gigs, and they want to give that up unless this actually paid dividends. And obviously it doesn't. So they do the one-off. They'll play like Wolverhampton in the UK. They're playing a monster. How much do they pay in a Monsters of Rock cruise? But I guess maybe they have a lull in all their schedules and they're getting enough to fly. They'll fly in and play. I mean,
Who's the
if they
headliners? Who's the headliners in the Monsters of
haven't
Rock?
even, I don't even know. First of all, I won't do a cruise, period. Secondly, I don't know. I don't follow it. It's just on their
Mm,
websites. I don't know. If they were to play a
yeah.
fest, you know, because a lot of bands just fly in and play, I would be there. Like if they played Rockville next year, I would try to make it. But I don't know, even
Yeah.
like I said, I don't know if it's feasible. Jason Bonham's schedule is, like I said, it's incredibly busy.
Yeah. Well, I'm seeing Glenn Hughes in October. He's playing Australia, and he's doing the final round of shows with the Deep Purple experience, where he's just, the whole set is wrapped around Mark 3 and 4 Deep Purples. And I've got a meet and greet, so I might ask him. I say, great album, but where's the marketing? I might get
Oh,
thrown
please.
out. Anyway,
Yes. Oh, yeah. Man, you should get that. You should do a live stream on that and put it on your channel. Yeah, I would love to find out. That's a great question. Oh, that's awesome that you're meeting
yeah,
him. Have you seen
yeah.
that show before?
Once I saw
Yeah,
he
I
played in a
saw it.
pub. But
I
yeah,
was
he's
blown away.
playing clubs, but he blows me away. It was him in a pickup
Another
band,
thing
and
that
he was
blows
just
me
on
away.
fire.
Another thing that blows me away is the amount of talent out there. So, like, they played "You Fool No One," and he had a drummer who you and I wouldn't know. This guy was savage on the drums. How much is he paying him per gig? And this guy could play in any. There's so much talent out there. I mean, you
I
see,
know.
this is totally unrelated, but I thought the same thing when I saw Cheryl Crow open up for Heart years ago, and I'm like, this band is amazing, but they're a bunch of you never heard any of these guys. How much is she paying these guys? She's opening for Heart. I don't know. It's like, yeah, I want to dig deep into the economics of all this.
Forensic Accounting with Joe Beck. I'll watch that. I love
Yeah,
that.
I know.
Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think the rock and roll lifestyle, they're rolling in cash. I can tell you, there's far
Well,
and few.
here, I just watched a documentary on Little Steven. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, so and I'm not a huge Springsteen guy, but I was interested, and it's a very very good documentary. But he actually joined the cast of this show called The Sopranos about the mafia. I don't know if you've seen that
Mm.
in Australia. It was
Yeah,
very
of course.
popular.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so they get to the point in his career, and his agent goes, "Why the f do you want to be on and be an actor? You're gonna ruin your career." And little Steven basically said, "Well, it's interesting. I'm Italian," and he goes, "Plus, I'm broke." And I had to rewind it. I'm like, how could he be broke in 1998? When I mean, I know he went solo at the wrong time. He left Springsteen. He left the Born
Mm.
in the USA tour, but I was like, how could he be broke? Now he's not broke, and The Sopranos are one of the reasons why. But yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
that's an interesting thing because there is a rumor around Deep Purple that a lot of them have to tour because they've got to make money. They're not rolling in cash, and you know, a lot of these heritage artists go out because not because they love it, because you've got people like Paul McCartney who are so wealthy, but they do it because they love it. And he said that I will play live until I drop dead. But then there are others that simply have to keep on going out because they've got to earn coin. They've got to pay the alimony for that third divorce or the fourth
Well,
divorce, or they've
that's
made some bad
yeah.
decision making. You know what I'm saying?
Whether it's music or sports, it's yeah, alimony and having baby mamas and substance abuse, yeah, that and bad investments. That's what does it. Especially
Um,
the divorce.
yeah,
There's half your money, there's another half of your money, and then, yeah, I know. But what about Sammy? I mean, I've seen Sammy Hagar, so he has millions of dollars, all these ventures, but he keeps on out there playing. So I
yeah.
guess he,
Anyway,
yeah,
topic for another show. But Joe,
yeah, for sure.
fantastic to have you on. In
Yeah,
summary,
I'm glad. Yeah,
folks,
I
check
wanted. I
out.
knew you'd be the man. You're the Deep Purple expert, and I knew you're the man to
Yeah.
talk about this.
Look,
I've been dying to
yeah.
talk about
Do
this.
yourself a favor, hook and crook, get this album. It's probably up there as one of the albums of the year so far. It's just so melodic and hooky. And if you love your classic rock, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Hughes for All or Hughes Solo, this is the album for you. Check out Joe's channel, Wasting Some Time with Joe. It's or Average Joe, isn't it? Wasting Some Time with
Oh,
Average
yeah.
Joe. Great channel. And we're going to do plenty of more shows on Rock Daydream Nation. Tell us what you think of Black Country Communion. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and you will see Joe and I very soon. Cheers.